Still grounded, young Praggnanandhaa, but he is on top of the table, and today he faces off against Levon Aronian. Here we go, Pragg, with the first move.
Yeah, he starts with his queen's pawn. He's been doing this a lot lately, and over the last few days, we did see some stats. Pragg scores very well in the queen's gambit and against the Slav in various queen's pawn openings. So what will Levon Aronian choose? White occupying the centre. OK, will we see the Nimzo Indian defence? We do. Black's bishop coming out, pinning the white knight. And this very trendy variation of white's pawn stepping forward just one square. And Aronian's been doing this himself a bit lately from the white side, so it's interesting to see Pragg develop like this. White's knight coming out, getting ready to castle the white king. Black tends to challenge for the centre in the next few moves, maybe with more pawns. Lots of options here for Black. And what do you guys think? Early days in this Nimzo, but OK, Black occupying the centre with pawns now. Wise choice by Pragg?
Yeah, I mean, it seems very sensible.
Fighting choice, maybe? Fighting
choice. I mean, just sticking to his principles. I mean, both players, they've got kind of different preparation. Pragg's, like, you know, obviously newer to chess than Aronian. Aronian's been around a lot longer. Aronian does have the experience. I think this is going to be the biggest test so far for Pragg, personally, just because that experience, you know, is very valuable when you're playing someone like Pragg. But symmetrical, you know, this is all just solid stuff at the moment. Aronian mentioned he wanted to play a bit more solid today, so he's not taking any risk with the opening.
Yeah, it kind of almost feels like this could have also come from a Caro-Kann, the Panov-Botvinnik variation, and the pawn structure very symmetrical, and then it just hinges on piece play and whether Black can freely develop the light square bishop, and it's out. So White maybe has to start putting pressure on Black on these coming moves.
Yeah, and I'm really intrigued about why the evaluation bar favours White so much. It looks like Black has kind of achieved everything he wants out of the opening. Black has castled his king, has a solid influence in the centre, symmetrical pawn structure. OK, White's bishop trying to copy Black's bishops now and trying to pin the opposition knights. White does have the bishop pair. Maybe that's a small factor here, but this pin that Black's bishop has against the white knight, it's very annoying. White's knight can't move, the queen behind it would fall, and that tension is going to be there for quite a while. So, yeah, definitely pressure on both sides, but Pragg is the first one to have to answer questions. How do you kick away Black's bishop? How do you maybe start pushing forward? How do you activate the white rooks? Black is just rock solid right now. That's why I'm so surprised the computer favours White.
Well, Praggnanandhaa, going into this match, is on top of the table together with Magnus Carlsen. And let's hear from the world champion before today's match started.
Magnus, you're currently topping. You're playing Liam Le today. How are you prepared?
No, I think it's going to be a tough match. He beat me last time, so I'll look to correct that now.
Good luck to you. Hans, does it mean something special to you to play against Anish Giri? You've had some banter going on Twitter and such.
No, nothing special, just another game.
We're looking forward to a good game today. And what have you done to break a bad streak?
Oh, I actually forgot my smoothie. I'll be right back. Oh, wait, no. Sure. Yeah, no, what I forgot my smoothie in the room. I guess it's too late. But just relaxed and prepared, yeah.
Good luck, Hans.
Thank you.
Liam Le, you're facing the world #1 today again. Do these matches mean something special to you?
Definitely. Pleasure playing him every time. Hope he will play well today.
And getting a win yesterday, that helps the confidence going into today as well, right?
Definitely, but I expect this to be a very tough match.
Good luck.
I have to say, as always, it is Hans Niemann, the winner of the interviews. Forgot his smoothie today. Was that what he said?
Yeah, he forgot his smoothie. He seemed to be backtracking, going back to his room or something, and then he changed his mind. Who needs a smoothie anyway?
Was it a joke? You never can tell. You know, it's a good idea to be unpredictable, I think, because it keeps your opponents guessing. And I have to say, sometimes there's like a divergence between the player's personality and their style on and off the board. Because, I mean, looking at Liam Le, you would think, well, mild-mannered, very friendly, perhaps played a little solidly.
Yeah.
No.
Crazy games.
Crazy games, crazy sharp games, you know, and if you provoke him, he will suddenly come at you. And meanwhile, Hans Niemann also, he comes across like he could be a little bit of a thug on and off the board, but he's not. You know, he actually plays in quite a nice, dynamic way, very classical. And yesterday we saw him use a very unexpected style against Praggnanandhaa, where he tried to hold his position. So what can I say?
Chess style is not personality.
No, definitely not.
Interesting. Well, Hans Niemann today, he is playing Anish Giri, and Hans, he actually has won the first games, both of the 2 previous days. So Anish, he has to be sharp from the get-go today. Both of them have lost all their 3 matches so far, so this is an important one for both of them. But we're following game 1 with Praggnanandhaa and Levon Aronian. A couple of moves, David.
Yeah, a couple of moves, and Praggnanandhaa went for a very committal decision. White did have a backward pawn on the c-file. He traded it off for Black's isolated pawn in the middle of the board. So the pawn structure, if we look at it now, Black's is very harmonious. Black has 3 nice pawns in front of his king. Black also has 2 potential strong pawns on the queen side. He has a 2 versus 1 advantage on that left flank, but White does have a passed pawn already in the centre of the board. Whether it's a strength or weakness, who knows yet? That white pawn in the middle is isolated. And it's just about whether Aronian can take control of squares before White's pieces get active. White does have the bishop pair, so long-term, White is doing pretty well. But who do you guys prefer here? Because there's reasons to be happy for both sides, I guess.
Probably, I'd probably pick White slightly here, just because I like the 2 bishops. It's quite an open position, so sometimes the bishops excel when there's lots of open lines, so you've got that here. This isolated pawn, as you say, it can be a strength or a weakness, and it's also a passed pawn, so it could become a queen later on. And it just seems like White's got a little bit more potential, but, I mean, saying that as well, if I was White, I wouldn't be overly happy with the way things have gone either, because Black is incredibly solid, has no weaknesses, and I can see this going wrong as well. I can see that pawn becoming weaker and weaker as the game goes on, so it's not without danger, this position for Pragg at the moment either. And, yeah, Jovanka, I mean, which side would you go for here? Would you pick...
Yeah, I mean, normally I would say I actually like playing against this isolated pawn in the middle. I mean, I find the positions to be quite natural. But here, it's a different kettle of fish because, you know, the position is very open. White has the bishop pair. And, you know, there's a lot of open lines for the rooks to start exerting control as well as diagonals. So I would also be a bit ambivalent like you. Kind of like White, but at the same time, can see that White has to play accurately in the next few moves just to kind of keep and maintain that small advantage.
Yeah, I mean, even though I like White, I wouldn't like getting this position as White, which is quite a weird thing to say. So even though I prefer to be White here, I still wouldn't want to play this position. It's like, so do I really like White? Not really.
So, contradiction, Simon.
I know, but I prefer to be White than Black, but I don't really like either side. Are you allowed not to? Is that possible? I think.
Of course,
so,
yeah.
I think it's a tricky position to play, and you know, I mean, looking at plans, I mean, I was thinking about pushing the pawn in front of the White king 2 squares and then trying to move the knight, but that is really risky. And this is the kind of plan where I could see myself doing, and it really backfiring. But this is the kind of stuff I'd like to do: use my minor pieces, try to you know, throw them into the centre of the board. But I mean, you know, moving pawns in front of your king, you have to be very careful about doing that.
Yeah, you're right there, Simon, because, OK, Pragg has just retreated his bishop to this square. It was attacked previously, and now Aronian to play. But even if he makes a non-committal move, it's all about this pin. How do you break out of this pin? It's extremely frustrating. White would love to move his queen somewhere, just kind of connect the white rooks together so that they can now kind of swing to challenge Black's rooks, which look great. Challenge for this open e-file or challenge for this kind of open c-file. Maybe trade off a set of rooks. The white bishops will become stronger if pieces get traded off. But if you break the pin like this, you still get kicked around with the white queen. You still get hit.
Knight c5 as well, David.
Yeah,
exactly.
Well, maybe this move's better, but yeah. Sorry, yeah.
You're right, hitting the queen, hitting the bishop, and White can't capture because the queen would then be attacked and Black would win material. So it's actually really awkward. I mean, maybe there's a better waiting move by Levon Aronian than just waiting with this rook. First, he does this kickback against the white bishop. I'm assuming the white bishop kind of continues to create this pin. It's less effective, White's bishop, because the black queen can happily move after all the knights defend each other. So I guess White doesn't really want to trade off his bishop for a knight if he can't shatter the black pawn structure. This only helps Black. But still, this question remains, right? I mean, it's really awkward for Praggnanandhaa. So I kind of understand why both of you slightly prefer White. My instincts say the same. But in the current position, lots of questions for Pragg. What do you do with this bishop, first of all? Do you retreat it to the edge of the board where maybe it's not that great? Do you retreat it to like a solid but passive square where it's safe but not doing much? And long term, how do you break this pin? I just don't really see a safe, convenient way of doing so. Unless, as you mentioned, Simon, at some point you kind of push this pawn forward, but in rapid chess against an attacker like Aronian, you don't really want to weaken your king.
I only wanted to play that move in combination with my knight coming forwards, otherwise I would not be playing that move. If I can move the knight into the centre here, but I only wanted to do this also when I was pinning the knight, so I kind of wanted everything, you know. You know, even here I'm like, you know, okay,
you want it all and you want it now.
Yeah, you kind of want it all in life, don't you, if you can get it, but you very rarely do, especially when I'm playing chess. But I mean, you know, this is actually a common idea in some other variations. But yeah, you're moving that G-pawn, David. I don't, you know, very risky.
It's very risky, and also you still have to calculate. It might not work, but you'd have to calculate whether black could in fact sacrifice a knight in order just to open up the white king.
Yeah, and ideas like this, as you mentioned, Jovanka, giving up a piece, but still kind of fixing this pin forever, and very weak king here for white. So instead, Pragg has gone the other way with his bishop. He does indeed maintain his own pin. So both bishops now kind of creating these awkward pins on these diagonals, but yeah, as mentioned, it's not that awkward for Aronian. And here, again, he could play a useful move, just improving his rook, putting it on an open file, just like this. These two black rooks now fantastic. Or another option, just move the black queen out the way, maybe to a useful square, for example, here on the edge of the board, flexible square, and break the pin. Yeah, chances for both sides shaping up to be a very tense game.
Cool. The action has started inside the Miami arena. I wonder what's going outside the arena. Let's go down to Sverre in Miami.
Well, except for the fact that we're absolutely burning up, I think it's a lot going on out here. Right now, I'm being joined by a woman here. This is Bianca Mitchell-Avila. She is a filmmaker or actually a docu-series maker and a former chess player. And Bianca, you're 17-year-old. Right now, you are traveling the world making a docu-series. How did that come about?
Well, my dream was to travel around the world, create movies, create TV. And chess was my stepping stone for that. I mean, I played chess since I was 6, but I stopped competitively after a while and really took on more of like the community style, more of meeting more people in more of a language, if that makes sense, like talking to people, learning their stories in chess, and seeing more the art aspect of it.
And this is important to you as well. I mean, you've been a woman in chess, and this is about women in chess. How has that inspiration been important for your life and your career choice?
As a young woman of color, I am a Chicana Latina from Albuquerque, New Mexico. I was in a club full of men and young boys. I only really learned about Bobby Fischer and Garry Kasparov. And my young cousin, Raquel, she just started playing chess. And so I realized that I needed something more when I was younger to see more women role models in the world. So that's really what made me go down this route in the chess world, and more of looking for the women out there and finding their stories so that my family, my friends, and more young women out there can see these role models and can see that there are powerful women out there and they can do whatever they put their mind up to.
And that we soon get a female player playing in the Champions Chess Tour as well, right?
Yes, I'm so excited.
Well, we're looking forward to that, Kaya, getting a female player back on the tour again now. But for now, we have 8 guys who's really battling it out.
Yeah, we really do, Sverre. And I have to say, I'm really looking forward to that documentary.
Yeah, me too. I mean, I love this idea.
Yeah, what a great idea.
Definitely showing visibility to the women chess players out there. Like right now, I'm reading this fabulous book by Jennifer Shahade on chess queens. Like we all know the history about the male world champions, you know, Garry Kasparov, Bobby Fischer. But do we know the female world champions?
Yeah.
You know, maybe everyone's heard of Vera Menchik, maybe Nona Gaprindashvili, but they're way more than that, and it's so great just to have their stories told, have, you know, all the female players just out there. And one of the things that people do forget is that girls growing up, their role models are actually likely to be other females. I know when I was growing up, I was looking at the top British women players, and I was following and absorbing and inhaling every story that I saw on the Polgar sisters, on Maja Cipotanidze. And it's great to have a documentary that will be highlighting female achievements.
Yeah, we're all for that. Looking forward to it. And we have had several female players on the Champions Chess Tour this season. No one in this major, though, but still 8 fantastic chess players. 2 of them playing this game, Pragg against Levon Aronian. What's happening on the board, David?
Yeah, talking of women, and it is the year of the women in chess, the queens, they are about to get traded off, maybe. So the women in this board, that? Yeah, I'm not so sure. This decision by Pragg. Also, it comes at a cost getting these queens off the board. What do you guys think? If we jump in just to show what Pragg has done, I think he was just feeling uncomfortable due to this pin. His lady not feeling comfortable, eyed up by the bishop on h5, so he got her out of the way, offering a trade. And if black does capture now, suddenly white does have to maybe take on these shattered pawns if black captures the knight. And we kind of get this odd scenario. It's 2 bishops against 2 knights. And it's quite rare, this type of situation, first of all, but I'm looking at the white pawn structure. And I'm thinking, oh, it's not great. Maybe the pawns can step forward in future, especially this passed pawn in the middle of the board. But at the same time, black's knights will combine. They will be able to blockade later, and it's anyone's game here. I'm not even sure which colour I would choose, to be honest. But if Levon Aronian doesn't want to do this, if he wants to keep the queens on the board and avoid any potential endgame, then I guess he can, for example, swing his queen over. And still, this white queen feels a bit awkwardly placed. Still a lot of pressure on this knight. Maybe it's your idea, Simon, that he wants to play, bringing the white knight into the middle, but somehow it just feels superficial with this white queen blocking in her rook next door. She is on an open file after all. At some point, one of the black rooks will kind of try to target her. Maybe it's hanging together. Maybe Pragg has very specific ideas here, but yeah, a bit of a kind of committal decision at least, and I'm not sure he needed to do this. What do you guys think after this white queen move? Will he capture? Will he avoid it?
I think it's very understandable because of that pin on the knight, as you pointed out, was so annoying. So the human response is, let's get out of the pin. I don't think it's so bad. I mean, like I think it is certainly double-edged. If the queens come off, we're going to have a very interesting middle game, aren't we? Because that pawn structure is horrible. So Aronian decides to keep the queens on the board, and now the rook coming to attack the queen, white's queen does look a little bit ridiculous, has to be said. But this knight move will get rid of a lot of problems as well. You know, you're getting out of the pin. Your bishop, your light square bishop looks tremendous. I mean, I think this could be all right, actually. Maybe.
I'm really surprised. Sorry,
I was going to say, this really depends, though, on a specific tactic. The reason that black put his queen on this square is that he wants to jump in with his bishop
E2. Yeah, I missed this move.
This rook.
That's something I missed, I must admit. Which is...
It's still very complicated.
Yeah.
I'm not sure maybe white has a way to kind of get this rook, kind of save this rook. I don't really see it right now. But maybe, Simon, is it time for your idea from earlier?
Maybe G4's not stupid because, you know, you have the dark square bishop coming behind it if you're ever in, you know, to defend your king. And I guess black has to drop the bishop back, and then when the knight comes in, you do have a big threat. Knight takes bishop is winning a whole piece. So yeah, this is
maybe this really complicated.
Yeah, this is certainly an idea.
Can you also? I do like your idea, Simon, but a little bit too committal for me right now. Could you perhaps just deal with the incoming threat of you want to put your knight in e5? But you can't do it just yet, so just move the queen up to defend the knight, and then the next move... OK, yeah.
Is it Praggnanandhaa?
I was thinking the next move you can go for it. Yeah. Because one idea I really wanted to highlight is that once the knight does reach the e5 square, white can actually support it by first playing the pawn to f4, sorry. And that move kind of also traps the bishop. It's a common idea.
Yeah, so for example, if black just kind of does nothing, I'm not really sure how. For example, if he puts pawn pressure on this knight, you back it up, and next move you really feel more confident about going after this bishop. Yeah?
I like that move. I mean, again, this is white trying to do everything, right? I mean, you're trying to get this knight in, use your bishops without weakening your king. And one of the problems black has is his might. I mean, we talked about a lot of white's pieces, but black's mitre pieces are pretty bad, right? I mean, the black knights, the one in D7, I mean, they're both really bad. You know, they don't have any squares. You can't really move them. The bishop is becoming a target. So there is now I'm definitely saying, OK, I will play this position with the white pieces. Please give me this position. I would very much enjoy playing this position against anyone. And I'm thinking that this idea has worked out well. Maybe Aronian's Queen A6 was not the right way to play.
Yeah. It feels like with his last move, he was just playing for this trick. He's hoping white's knight jumps in and then he traps the white rook. But yeah, this move you mentioned, Jovanka, that Pragg ended up playing, looks like a really nice solution, just defending the knight. Now it's far less attractive for black to capture this knight because it doesn't ruin white's pawn structure. Suddenly white's bishops are clearly better than the black knights. And yeah, advantage Pragg, it looks like, in the current position. Big threat of the knight jumping in.
Yeah. And
Aronian not playing as quickly as usual as well. That's a bit of a surprise.
Yeah, well, he did say in the interview, he promised that he was going to take his time, sit on his hands, follow the rules. And I have to say, but I mean, you know, the position is still very complicated. Anything can happen. And whilst Levon is thinking, well, we do have a selfie competition where we are asking, send us a selfie that will impress Grandmaster David Howell. And Kix says, hi, David. Your commentary at Chess Champs is slowly making a Grandmaster somewhere in Nigeria.
Ooh.
Oh, that's a nice one.
Love it.
I love that one.
I would love that. Come on, Nigeria. You can do it.
Yeah, definitely. And Samuel Hokeman says, do you have more trophies than me?
You don't want to know the answer to that one, Samuel. But I love it. I love the picture.
And Abhishek says, I love your hometown, David. The place is amazing, and what a view from the pier.
So basically, you got a stalker. Well done, David.
I'll take it. That's a sign of having made it, right? So,
Yeah, definitely.
yeah, Brighton, a beautiful place, especially in the summer.
And here's your front door. I'm going to camp here until you come home. So, yeah.
You studied there, Simon.
I did. I love Brighton, and down that area of Britain is much nicer than London, I think, even. So, yeah.
Have better weather in Brighton than many other places in.
Yeah.
Yes.
Beach.
On the south coast, it's nice and sunny, and lots of nice restaurants and pubs and pier, and it's lovely.
History as well.
Bohemian.
It's just fantastic.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not as nice as Miami, I've got to say, but it's England's version.
I think I prefer it.
Yeah.
And I also heard, so if you want to invest in wine, you know, traditionally French, Italian wine, the best. But because of climate change, British wine is becoming the best. And I can imagine that would be around that area where they have some
Sussex
vineyards.
wine. They do have many vineyards down in Sussex, and around that area. So funny, I should know that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but I don't know. I'd be a bit careful about investing in British wine. Still, I'm not sure. So, but it's a lovely part of the world. Definitely, it is lovely. So yeah,
Absolutely.
And meanwhile, I've got to say, I just love Pragg's attention to detail. In this last position, he's brought his rook across, and I think there's a very clever reason behind this. If we just jump in, there's only been a couple of moves. Aronian dropped his bishop back, and on the last turn, so Pragg has just put his rook on this square, challenging for the c-file. It looks nice, it looks pretty, it looks like the kind of move you just play without thinking, just to kind of play on general principles, just challenge an open file. But if we go back one move, the most natural idea we were thinking was for the white knight to jump in, but the reason Aronian had retreated his bishop, which is actually a target now, the reason he'd put it on this square is he wanted to trade off white's best piece, and white's best piece is his bishop, and now it's no longer possible to keep it after black brings his bishop in, and he will trade off this bishop supported by the black rook. And Pragg, this just shows that he's looking at his opponent's ideas, not just his own. He sees that Aronian wants to trade off his bishop, and if these bishops disappear, it's probably just level, and therefore he stops his opponent's ideas, and we call this prophylaxis in chess, just kind of thinking ahead, killing all the opponent's kind of plans. And yeah, Pragg, just that really does show maturity and high quality. Meanwhile, Aronian tries to insist on a similar idea. He hits this white rook. If the white rook moves, for example, to attack the bishop, then he can potentially drop back, again trying to insist on this trade. How is Pragg going to continue stopping him? That's the question. So this is the current position. He's attacking this rook, and if the rook moves, he wants to drop back. Can we cut across this idea? Ooh, some tempting moves here. I would love to somehow trade off one set of rooks and then go for this pawn on the f7 square. It looks really tender. In chess in general, this is always black's weakest spot, especially if you have a bishop on the same diagonal as your opponent's king. I can't quite see a way to sacrifice and just go for checkmate, though. If we ever bring our queen in, I think black can just get away with ignoring it. Black can probably take a rook, and it's just one check after all. The king will hide in the corner, but already it's a bit scary for Aronian. His king coming under fire. What do you guys think? Is this clever by Aronian? The evaluation bar hates his last move if we go back to the game position.
Looks clever. I mean, White's most dangerous piece is certainly his light square bishop. And Aronian, we talked about Aronian's minor pieces being very bad, so why not try to swap them off? Yeah. So it looks like a very good idea to make some trades. And also, this could make the isolated pawn, White's pawn in the centre, weaker. Generally, when you're playing against the isolated pawn, you want to exchange pieces, generally, because that pawn will be a target, more of a target, and the pieces generally like playing around the isolated pawn. So this is a decision time. How does Pragg stop this idea or do something against this idea? And he's just moved his rook, which seems very sensible. But now, after bishop c4, Aronian is starting to find some stability in his position. Yeah. So,
I mean, is it so clear-cut, though? If we were to kind of go a little bit deeper into the variation, yeah, the bishops might come off, but still, White has a really active rook. The queen will be well placed. The knight is still springing forward.
Black is rock solid, though, so we need... I think it's just the fact that the game has become a bit more urgent for Pragg now, and especially if the bishops come off, he needs to be quick. Long term, black is actually the one with the advantage. If it goes down to just a pure endgame, all of the pieces coming off the board, if it's just about pawns, black will win, because these two will beat this one long term. And this pawn in the middle, it is past pawn, but black's king can easily come across to stop this pawn later on. So, yeah, I still possibly would choose white, but now it's becoming easier to play for black if he can guarantee that these pieces disappear from the board. And that's why Pragg is peering in. He's getting closer to his screen. He knows that the critical moments are over the next few moves. If he can create something now, he will have the advantage. If he doesn't, actually things might turn.
I mean, you can throw your knight in, stuff like this, into the position, but I'm kind of starting to think that some opportunity was missed by Pragg, and that Aronian will be feeling a lot more comfortable here now that he's just going to get rid of that light square bishop. That's a major achievement for black, right? Getting rid of White's probably most dangerous piece there. So, yeah, I mean, you could play this, David, but it doesn't even look that scary, to be honest. It's a bit scary. That knight is very active. And obviously, you can see you're pointing towards the pawn.
Still some ideas.
So this is some pressure still. Maybe this is one of the better options to go for this and activate the pieces before Aronian can make more changes to the position that will suit him.
Yeah, and OK, we don't see that. We see instead White pinning the black bishop. So some tension now. He's brought his rook across just to create a pin here. But I'm expecting Aronian to just deal with that by, there we go, defending his piece. Not only defending his bishop with a pawn, but also now the rook is defended suddenly by the black queen, so the pin has been broken. It's less effective. And suddenly, I mean, we see Aronian in his chair there. He's looking much more confident. Just a few moves ago, it felt like he was in a bit of trouble. Yeah. I was really praising Pragg. Pragg's done nothing wrong, but Aronian's just found some really clever moves. And also clock time starting to work in one side's favour, and it's not looking good for Pragg.
I have to say, a lot of the pieces are close to the white king, but the black king doesn't have that many pieces that close to it, at least. Does that mean that Pragg is more defending, or is it even an issue?
It's not an issue right now. I guess black's king is not too worried because the knights are a king's best friend, and black does have two knights in the vicinity. Just within one move or within two moves, they can defend the black king. White's pieces, I think they're poised, they're ready to attack. OK, he trades off one of the black knights there. I guess that white bishop wasn't doing anything on the edge. But yeah, White's pieces, they're not necessarily defensive, they're not necessarily attacking, they're just ready to play on either side of the board, depending where the action lies.
Well, he did take off that one knight. That was, okay, now there's another knight.
That's the problem.
Yeah.
And normally you don't want to do this. You normally want to leave two knights defending each other. We call them superfluous knights. One of them is actually useless if they're just kind of sitting on the same circuit. So that's a bit of a concession that Pragg made. It looks like a lot is coming off the board now.
Yeah. But less than 3 minutes now. Well, okay, 3 minutes for Pragg. And look at his chair.
Shaking.
He is shaking.
Yeah.
Very concentrated.
Definitely, and it's also that critical game for Praggnanandhaa because do you remember, everything was going great until round 4 in the Oslo Esports Cup. So, I mean, I had forgotten about it until Pragg mentioned it himself yesterday in the interview, which does mean that he is thinking about this critical moment.
Yeah.
One thing I have to say, though, is that in this particular position, I'm really liking Levon's position. It might not be enough to win, but he has 2 targets to look at. He has these weak isolated pawns on the d4 square and the b3 square. And also black has the outside pass pawns. Remember, not all pawns are equal when it comes to the endgame. You have to judge them on their ability to move, how far up they are on the board, and whether they can march in a connected fashion.
Yeah, they're not pass pawns yet, but they do have that potential. And, OK, Pragg retreating his queen. I'm also comparing the knights, and black's knight is just beautiful, can never really be kicked away. And white's knight, maybe at some point, especially if the queens come off, white's knight can be kicked by a pawn, so it's not quite as stable. Meanwhile, nice solid move there from Levon Aronian, just centralising his queen. Yeah, it should be a draw with best play, but if the queens disappear, I would love black's position. So Pragg needs to keep the queens on, needs to keep active. He can't allow black the time to start running with those 2 queenside pawns.
So is Pragg only playing for a draw in this game?
Feels that way. I mean, unless he can somehow whip up a sudden attack against the black king, which looks unlikely, I just don't really see what else white can try. I would choose black here. How about you guys?
Definitely. Black 1,000 times over. But the one thing is that, I've also got our prize in the back of the mind for our selfie competition, the Grind Like a Grandmaster course. I'm thinking, how would black try and grind this one out? So, first of all, I'm thinking the knight is well placed, the queen has to support the knight. Maybe it's time to kind of secure a safe haven for the black king.
I think we might well see Levon Aronian do that. That's a nice strategy, Ivanka. Magnus with approve. Just maybe push the g-pawn in front of black's king, create a nice safe... There we go.
Oh,
you called
nice.
it. You called it, Ivanka. Now the black king has a square where that pawn previously sat. It's nice and safe. It won't get checked. And I think we'll see the king occupy that square. And the reason this is such a good square for the black king on the g7 square is that the white knight... It's actually, there's a gap in between, but it's on a diagonal from the black king. So the white knight would always need at least 3 moves to deliver any kind of check to that black king. This is the safest kind of formation. Just remember this, the white knight to the black king. If you want to avoid getting forked, checked, if you're low on time, just go for this formation.
We do have a draw inside the Miami Arena. Game 1 between Magnus Carlsen and Liam Le has ended with a draw. Magnus with the white pieces in that game, and Liev will have the white pieces in the next game starting in 25 minutes. In the other matches, it does seem like the bar is indicating this is interesting. The bar is now shifting towards Alireza Firouzjah's side in game 1 against Jan-Christoph Duda. Duda, who lost yesterday in only 3 games to Liam Le. Firouzjah, he eventually won his match against Anish Giri in Armageddon. And could Alireza as well win the first game today? Anish Giri, okay, it's looking better for him. The bar is over to his side in game 1 against Hans Niemann. And it would be the first win for Anish Giri in the tournament if he wins this game. So let's see if he can finish it off this time, because that has been the problem for Anish.
Yeah, I just looked over at the game, Giri against Niemann. He needs to win this one. If he doesn't win this one, his confidence will be affected even more because it's a massive position. It's overwhelming. He's dominant right now, Giri.
All right.
Just that final touch. This is the big test for him.
Trouble for Hans Niemann in game 1 today. Let's see what happens. But we are following Pragg against Levon. Some moves on the board.
Yeah, meanwhile, maybe a silent draw offer here from Levon Aronian. Now, if the queens come off, white can temporarily go a pawn up. That pawn will disappear, though. Maybe we show this on the board because it's very likely to happen. And I think Pragg should go for this. Just get out of this game. You don't want to be under pressure too much longer. But if you trade off the queens and then take this pawn, then at least after a check and a capture, this one should be a draw now. I'm not sure what white should play. Maybe you push this pawn forward 1 square, or maybe you retreat the white knight. It's hard to imagine this game ending in any other way than a draw. Both kings will rush towards the centre. It's level pawns. And, OK, he doesn't go for this. Maybe Pragg thought that the black king was slightly more active than the white king. Maybe he was scared of the black king coming into the centre first. Oof, OK, he keeps the queens on the board. But now, suddenly, look at the black queen, look at the black knight. They're both perfectly placed. Can Levon take advantage? What do you guys think? Good decision? Ambitious decision, I guess?
Yeah, I don't think you should be playing for a win, really. There's certain times when you just have to say, OK, I'll take the draw, move on to the next game. And I think that ending was a good chance for just to get out of this game. I really like what Pragg's done, though, with his knight. That was a very clever manoeuvre, moving his knight away from the centre and putting it on the square it's on now. So at least he's put it on the queen's side to deal with those pawns, attack those pawns. But black's knight is always going to be a great piece here. And there's this sort of long-term danger that black will get a passed pawn on the queen's side somehow. And, you know, that's just a long-term positional threat here. Now, I mean, you can force a draw, I think, here, can't you, just by checking. So this is going to be interesting. Will Aronian decide to move on to the next game, get the white pieces? It's not a crazy decision. I think he might do.
We've got to go back to the players because we might well see Aronian force the draw, repeat the position. Pragg leans back. Yeah, I think you guys are right. Maybe Aronian thinks with black it's still a good result. But what would you do? Would you play on?
I would think I would play on.
I would go for it.
Definitely. You know, you've got to repeat the position twice and then dangle the draw in front of your opponent. And then at the last minute, you snatch it away and you say, no, 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 we're going to carry on.
And with the clocks as well, right?
Exactly.
So much more time on the clock for Levon.
Exactly. I mean, how is he going to do it? I'm not really sure. Haven't worked out that detail yet. But, I mean, maybe he has ideas of... OK, no.
Gives a check and he might well go for the draw. And there we have it. And I was about to say this is identical to a game I saw that Magnus showed in that Grind Like a Grandmaster course, Queen and Knight versus Queen and Knight, same pawn structure. But Levon, maybe a missed opportunity. If he doesn't win now, he'll look back at a missed chance.